God, I didn't realize it was her, please. I didn't know. Okay. Still alive. Okay. I don't think he's going to kill me. Welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I'm reading the Bible so that you don't have to. You still can, but at least you don't have to. Just joking. We're not that boring here. We have a good time. Okay? Look at this. I'm drinking all this water. We have just started the famous story of Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Heartbreakingly, Israel, also known as Jacob, is very sad because he thinks Joseph is dead. But Joseph was traded to slavers and brought to Egypt by his brothers. Those guys, those scamps. It's a very serious thing to trade a brother to slavery, okay? I just want to make that clear. I don't condone it, and I don't think it's very funny. But it is a tricksy thing to do. Jacob was very tricksy with Esau, and now Jacob's favorite son, I feel like he might be paying for the sins of his father. That is very biblical. Very biblical. Doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel just. But it's biblical, so it doesn't need to be just. It just needs to be right by God. By God, it just needs to be right by God. We're here in chapter 38, and I'm just about to read it. But you got to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. Like the video, ring the bell, all that jazz. So here we are, chapter 38. At that time, Judah left his brothers and went down to stay with a man of Adullam named Hira. They might have been gay lovers. Who knows? We don't know. Can everyone just calm down? Judah met the daughter of a Canaanite man named Shua. He's straight. He married her and lay with her. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son who was named E-R, 2 letters. We don't want to work that hard. His name's His name is like if someone's thinking, what was it? What were we going to? Oh, yeah, we need to get ice cream. She conceived again and gave birth to a son and named him Onan. She gave birth to still another son and named him Shelah. That's the second Shelah I believe we've seen in the book. It was at Kezib that she gave birth to him. Good to know. Where was Shelah born? Oh, Kezib. Oh, good. Yeah, that was important information. I'm glad you said that because I was wondering, where was Shelah born? And I thought, if we didn't know that, it would make or break the whole entire story. Judah got a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the Lord's sight. So the Lord put him to death. Sorry, was kind of wicked. Dead. What did he do? He was wicked in my sight. Yeah, but what did he do? He was wicked in my sight. Yeah, but what action did he take that was wicked? Don't ask. All right, I didn't like him. I didn't like him. Okay. Then Judah said to Onan, lie with your brother's wife and fulfill your duty to her as a brother-in-law to produce offspring for your brother. All of this goes this way and that way. If a woman is barren, this is me, I'm the woman. If the woman is barren, she can give a slave woman as a surrogate to her husband. We saw that 2 or 3 times. But in the same way, if a woman gets married and the husband dies, the brother comes along and now he has to give her a child for the brother. Like it still is the brother's household posthumously. But Onan knew that the offspring would not be his. You can make a baby with that woman. It's not going to be yours. It's going to be your dead brother's. So whenever he lay with his brother's wife, he spilled his semen on the ground to keep from producing offspring for his brother. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight. So he put him to death also. Ding, ding. Second one down. When someone's wicked, they're dead. And that's good to know. Because, guys, I've been reading this Bible, and some people think I shouldn't be doing it, and some people think I'm mocking God and stuff. I'm not wicked in his sight because he hasn't struck me dead. He will do that. I'm also not going to say I relate to Onan, done things that Onan's done in any way, but if I have, I'm also still here. So I don't know if it's always wicked. If Catholics are watching, is this the passage that leads you to believe that you can't use protection? Is this the passage that says whenever you're going to have sex, you need to make a baby or at least finish inside so that's a possibility? I have a feeling that if these guys are hanging out doing their own thing and some seed gets spilled, if they're making love to a lady, the moment of ecstasy occurs in a different orifice or on her breasticles, possibly that's fine as long as you're not expressly told to make a baby. But please do let me know in the comments if this is the passage that Catholics use to say condoms are bad and that kind of thing. Judah says, go and do this thing because it's your duty. If you don't, well, God's on Judah's team. That's another thing that's interesting, that Judah was one of the pieces of garbage that sold his brother into slavery, but God's still on side. Judah then said to his daughter-in-law, Tamar, live as a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah grows up. For he thought, he may die too, just like his brothers. So Tamar went to live in her father's house. So Judah didn't want Onan to die. So I feel like this is all God's stuff. And Judah was just following the orders. And then Judah commands Onan to do something, which is his duty. And that must be one of God's laws. But because he didn't follow that particular law, God obviously got a gun and shot him. Now he's trying to protect his last son, I believe. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. When Judah had recovered from his grief, he went up to Timnah to the men who were shearing his sheep, and his friend Hira the Abdullamite went with him. When Tamar was told, your father-in-law is on his way to Timnah to shear his sheep, she took off her widow's clothes, covered herself with a veil to disguise herself, and then sat down at the entrance to Enaim, which is on the road to Timnah. For she saw that though Shelah had now grown up, she had not been given to him as his wife. This is another one where the women are just like, yeah, I need to make the baby. And there's a rule here. I can't just go to any guy. As far as I know, there are no sperm banks. Are there any sperm banks yet? Do women have any kind of autonomy over their reproduction or anything? Do we? No? Okay, great. So I need one of the brothers to bang me because I need a kid. I have no value yet. It better be a boy. It better be a boy. If it's not a boy, God might as well kill me too. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute, for she had covered her face. Not realizing that she was his daughter-in-law, he went over to her by the roadside and said, come now, let me sleep with you. And we'll see if God's cool with it, because he is killing wicked people right now, killing people that, don't ejaculate the right way and just are wicked in his sight. We'll see if having sex with your daughter-in-law, who you think is a prostitute, ends up being a wicked thing or not. And what will you give me to sleep with you? She asked, bartering. I'll send you a young goat from my flock, he said. Will you give me something as a pledge until you send it? She asked. He said, what pledge should I give you? Your seal and its cord, and the staff in your hand, she answered. So he gave them to her and slept with her, and she became pregnant by him. After she left, she took off her veil and put on her widow's clothes again. So we can see where this is going, and this is a classic story. This is just classic storytelling. I remember this story, and I think we all know what the payoff is going to be. It's a fantastic work of fiction. Is it true? It's obviously not going to be true. Meanwhile, Judah sent the young goat by his friend Abdullamite. Hey, we already knew him in a previous verse, in order to get his pledge back from the woman. But he did not find her. Where is she? He asked the men who lived there, where is the shrine prostitute who was beside the road at Enaim? There hasn't been any shrine prostitute here, they said. So he went back to Judah and said, I didn't find her. Besides, the men who lived there said, there hasn't been any shrine prostitute here. So weird. It's like the person doesn't even exist. Then Judah said, let her keep what she has, or we will become a laughingstock. After all, I did send her this young goat, but you didn't find her. So she can keep the thing, because, that was the collateral. But about 3 months later, Judah was told, your daughter-in-law Tamar is guilty of prostitution. As a result, she is now pregnant. Judah said, bring her out and have her burned to death. She's going to sleep with some guy? She's bringing shame to this family, probably. I can do it, but she can't. As she was being brought out, she sent a message to her father-in-law. I am pregnant by the man who owns these, she said. And she added, see if you recognize whose seal and cord and staff these are. Gotcha. Checkmate. This is, again, a trick. This is a fun folk story. It's a comedy. In this case, the prostitution element wasn't even real, right? This was her playing a prostitute to get her father-in-law to sleep with her, to give her a baby that she wanted. And she knew that she could play this trick and get the baby, make him guilty of it, so that maybe she avoids being burned to death. Let's see if she does avoid it. It's pretty clever, and it is a little bit funny. Judah recognized them and said, she is more righteous than I, since I wouldn't give her my son Shelah, and he did not sleep with her again. I didn't give her my son Shelah because, well, all my sons who have slept with her have died. Anyone who touches her dies. Now I've had sex with her. I'm worried that I'm going to be killed. God, I didn't realize it was her. Please. I didn't know. Okay. Still alive. Okay. I don't think he's going to kill me. When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb. As she was giving birth, one of them put out his hand, so the midwife took a scarlet thread and tied it on the wrist and said, this one came out first. But when he drew back his hand, his brother came out. So this is one of these weird things where the hand goes out and then goes back in, and then they move around for a little while, and then the brother comes out. I don't think they know how birth happens. I don't know if this is something that could happen medically without a lot of problems. They're like, the baby's kind of out and then goes all the way back in. I don't know. Look, I'm not a nurse or a doctor. It'd be interesting to hear the opinion of one of them. Is this even friggin' possible? But when he drew back his hand, his brother came out, and she said, so this is how you have broken out. And he was named Perez. Then the brother who had the scarlet thread on his wrist came out, and he was given the name Zerah. That's a fun story. This is a fun chapter. This was a surprise. This is a lot of tomfoolery, more goofy, folky nonsense. And what's the lesson to be learned? Who's right and who's wrong? And does it even matter? And who really cares? Tamar, ready to be burned at the stake. Well, you actually weren't doing the wrong thing. You were tricking me into giving you a baby. And making babies is the best thing anyone can possibly do. And I owed it to you. Yeah, you were right to trick me into having sex with you. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't be going to prostitutes, but that doesn't get punished. Neither is you sort of tricking someone and sleeping with your father-in-law. God is there to kill certain people at certain times for certain things, sometimes not even listed. Someone who's just generally wicked he doesn't like, or someone who just doesn't come in the right way. And then fast forward to this, God is nowhere to be found. God is not judging this stuff. He's like, no, that's cool. Feels like you learned your lesson, right, Judah? Feels like you already learned your, okay, I'm not going to kill you. Feels like you learned your lesson, so I'm not going to really worry about it. And Tamar, well, You got to raise a kid. So yeah, no, everything's fine. Anyway, that was a little bit of a break from Joseph, but we will be back with Joseph next time. Why don't you subscribe? Why don't you? Why wouldn't you? Subscribe, like the video. Let me know if you would have sex with a prostitute and risk sleeping with your daughter-in-law or something. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for being here and watching this whole video. I don't believe anyone's watched this far. I just don't believe it. If you've watched this far, say, I watched that far. And spell far with 2 R's, so I really know. Huh? Oh, okay. Bye.